Hello and welcome. I am Professor Reeves, the instructor for your intro class in religious studies. We'll be looking at world religions and the kind of the systems around those, the beliefs, some of the history. Um, it's really to think about what we're saying when we have an intro course in religion and think about how complex and how vast religion is, right? For most of human history, most of the world, most people have been religious in some way or another. So, how are we going to do this? Exactly what's going to be our focus? Well, one thing is make sure to read your syllabus. I kind of lay out a bit of an outline there, a brief one. But my approach focuses on, just because there's so much that we could look at, right? My approach focuses on five major world religions, and then also kind of a middle unit on religion in China, where we bring in some other traditional religions. Confucianism and Taoism, which are not as big as they used to be, but also religion in China I think is important because there's so much going on between the Communist Party and religious institutions, religious persecution, questions about human rights and freedom of religion. So basically the approach is in the first part of the course we'll take a brief look at just kind of asking yourself kind of self-evaluation, self-reflection of what is kind of your bias about religion. Are you a religious person? Are you not a religious person? Are you rather averse to religion? Are you kind of a adamant atheist, or a just kind of a laid-back agnostic, or yeah, you've gone to church, or very devout? I want you to think about that, take it seriously, and how it might affect the way you study religion, because religion is very important. It really is. Worldwide, people are devoted to their religious beliefs. It affects everything about their lives. But we tend, even many of us in the West, in the U.S., modern world, postmodern world, we tend to have a rather market economy approach to religion, right? You find something useful in it, so you can have your religion. You might pick and choose. You want a little bit of Buddhism here, right? Maybe some Confucianism, maybe a little bit of Jesus there on the cross, or this is Hebrew, so maybe you're interested in different mysticisms. So you do yoga and Buddhist meditation and Kabbalah, or you have kind of a belief in Jesus, but you practice mindfulness, or this is pretty common in this day and age in our culture. We have a lot of people who are kind of spiritual but not religious. But that kind of religion as an option, religion as a market option, like you can pick your church or pick your religion or kind of compile your own religions, that's a new sense of reality. Most people throughout most of history haven't thought that way. So I want us to think about our biases within our culture. That's where we'll start, just a little bit. And then we're going to look at five major religions, kind of split with a unit on China, because I think China is a good unifying point, and I'll explain that in a minute. We start with Hinduism after we look at our initial biases. Hinduism, incredibly important. And then Buddhism, because Buddhism is born out of a Hindu world. The Buddha, you might be accustomed to seeing kind of the short, fat, sitting in the lotus position. But the traditional statues of the Buddha had long ears, wasn't fat. He was a monk. He started life as a Hindu monk. So Hinduism and then Buddhism, there's this kind of natural connection. So we'll look at how they relate, and then we'll have that unit on religion in China. Reason being, you have some traditional religions of China. You have Confucianism and the ancestor venerations, and you have Taoism, and we'll look at those. They do have followings in the modern world, but they're not huge. Interestingly, the government, the communist government, which is not religious, promotes Confucianism because it's more of a philosophy. We'll talk about that. But also important, the reason I like to put China in this kind of middle position, because of the massive population, number one, and number two, because there are serious issues that we'll keep coming back to, issues of conflict and persecution. And so Christianity is growing like crazy in China. And Islam is growing in certain regions of China, especially as you get further west in China. You've possibly heard of the Uyghurs. They're a kind of a Turkic people group who are traditionally Muslims, and they're facing severe persecution. So you'll get a kind of a brief introduction to struggles of Christians and Muslims in the modern world. So Hinduism, Buddhism makes that good tie into China, and then China kind of opens up the door to looking at Christianity and Islam, and then after that we'll kind of backtrack and look at the kind of shared history of the Abrahamic faiths: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Hebrew faith. The Hebrew faith is incredibly important. There's not, population-wise, there's not as many Jews as there are Christians and Muslims, or as there are Hindus. There are a good number. There's a large population of Jews, but why do they matter? This is Hebrew here. This is reads from right to left. It says Yahweh Yahra. You've probably heard it said, if you've heard it at all. The anglicized version is Jehovah Jireh, God my provider. That Yahweh, most Jews don't pronounce that. That's the proper name of God in the Jewish heritage. That God, that creator God, that God of prophets, the God who created Adam and Eve and the prophets Noah and Elijah, especially Moses, Isaiah. These prophets are incredibly important to Judaism, to Christianity, which we'll talk about how Christianity is born out of Judaism, or really how modern Judaism and Christianity are born out of the ancient Hebrew faith, because they're really two branches that come off of a shared ancestor. Modern Judaism doesn't look exactly like the ancient Hebrew faith, and we'll talk about that. So those two faiths, how they come off the ancient Hebrew faith. And then Islam. Muhammad says, I don't come to preach a new faith to you, I bring the God of Abraham. Abraham being the key prophet, the Father Abraham is the father of the Jewish nation. He's the father of the faithful in the Christian tradition. And for Muhammad, he traces his lineage, both his physical ancestry and his religious understanding, to Abraham as a prophet of the one God who created the world and sends prophets through to give his word and his commands. So while there's not as many Jews, and it's a small faith in some sense numerically from a small region, it's his incredible impact on the world because of the revolutionary ideas in this Abrahamic faith. So that's this kind of the second half. After we look at Hinduism, Buddhism, China, then we look at the Hebrew historical source of Judaism, Christianity, and what Islam does with that. And then we kind of wrap up with a look at how religion relates to the modern world, to secularism, to communism. We'll bring that back in free societies and issues of religious persecution and religious fundamentalism. We'll wrap up there. It's a lot to cover. Don't worry, I'm not expecting you to be an expert. This is an intro-level class, right? A GSS course helps you towards your degree. Most of you are probably not religion majors. You may never take another religion course. So I hope you'll find it interesting enough that it might inspire you to take some other courses in religion. It can be very interesting, but that said, what should you expect, or what will be expected of you? A big part of your grade, not quite half, but a very big part of your grade are regular quizzes. But don't freak out. The quizzes are multiple choice online timed. And the way they work is whenever you have a reading, something to read, you have something to watch. And this is all laid out in the syllabus, which I hope you'll read. You need to read that. There's a quiz on that. It's the only quiz that's not timed, and you can take it as many times as you want because I want you to get 100 on that one because I want you to pay attention to what's in the syllabus. But this is laid out in the syllabus. When you take a quiz, basically when you read an assigned reading or you watch a documentary, I have questions that go with that. You answer those questions as you go along. And then you take your answers. This is not cheating. This is what I want you to do. You take your answers. You have your answers in front of you. You open this timed quiz that's online. And the quiz will be based on those questions. It's my way of spot checking to make sure that you're doing the assignments, that you're reading what I want you to read, that you're thinking about it, that you're getting the main points that I want you to pull out. That's what the questions are for, so you can kind of know what to look for and what are the key points. It really is, I'm being very generous and fair in that. It's my way of assuring that you actually read and watch the material, right? And it's almost half of your grade. I couldn't make it any easier. So please do that. I can't tell you how many people just don't do it. They don't do the reading, they don't answer the questions, and then they get a poor grade because they fail on these quizzes, and it really shouldn't be. So please read, answer the questions, watch the documentaries, answer the questions. Take your answers with you when you go online to take those quizzes. Another significant part of your grade, not as big for this course, but there are some discussion boards, responses that you have to respond to, and that's to kind of get you thinking a little deeper and kind of help you prepare for, there's a midterm and a final. And the midterm and the final are not, they're not memory exams. I'm not asking you to memorize a lot of facts. The focus of the midterm and final, they're open book, they're open notes, they're not timed, they're kind of short essays. A paragraph, 2 paragraphs, maybe a question that's like 3 paragraphs. They deal with the things from lectures and from discussion board exercises. You'll get it, you'll get the exam, you'll have like a week to do it. So don't like wait till 2 hours before it's due and try to write it all. They're writing exams. Consider them to be like the equivalent of work of a short paper. The final is not cumulative, so the first one, the midterm, is about the first parts. The introduction materials, Hinduism and Buddhism. And then when you get to the final exam, it's about Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and kind of religion in the modern world. So that's those are those kind of written exams, open book, open notes. It's to get you analyzing and thinking about things. So that's the basic layout. That's all in the syllabus. So read that syllabus, take that syllabus quiz. There is a document about how to write good discussion board responses and what not to do in discussion board responses. I may post a little, another short video just about that to kind of accompany that writing. But I'm looking forward to the semester together and hope it goes well for you. And feel free to email me if you have any questions.